Hello, friends. Very good morning, everyone. Before I begin my presentation, I have one thing to share with all of you. Is, uh, sir, do not sign our whole tickets until and unless we complete our each and every task throughout the semester. Uh, so, and at that moment, we feel that sir is behaving very cruelly with us, or what kind of brutal behavior is he behaving with us. So can we consider this as a barbaric? Because of course not, because we know that we are informed in advance that we should complete on the time, and then there will not be any kind of burden. But we are not following that, and at the result of that we have burden, and we blame someone else. So to define something is really is must not be from the perspective from just from one of the angle only. So today's my topic is the rereading of the civilization against barbarism, with special reference to India in Gujarati novel Kurukshetra by Manubai Pancholi. So very first, let's see the meaning of barbarism and civilization. According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, barbarism is or of relating to or a characteristic of a group of a people who are aligned to another land, culture or people, and who are usually believed to be inferior. On the other hand, civilization is a relatively high level of cultural and technological development. If we look at barbarism, it is an idea or an act or expression that is in a form of use offense against contemporary standards of good taste or acceptability. On the other side, civilization specifically indicates the stage of a cultural development at which writing and keeping of written records is attained. Here, a study of civilization usually focuses on to the relationship of the similarities and the differentiation between civilization and other. So, if we look at the characteristic of barbarian, then there is a complex culture, usually believed to inferior, marked by the lack of restraint. Another one is many times are referred as wild also, having a bizarre, primitive, or unsophisticated quality. And another one is who surrendered their cultural autonomy. And if we look at the characteristics of civilized, then it is the process of becoming civilized. How it works, that they are usually believed to be believed as superior or authority, refinement, there is a refinement of foods, manners, or a taste, and they are who lives in a situation of urban comfort, who enjoys trade and availability of goods, and there is a defined societal roles. Lewis Henry Morgan proposed three universal evolutionary stages that are savagery, barbarism, and civilization. But before we enter into the barbarism and civilization, there is acculturation. It is just like we speak of culture as contagious. In study of the influence of civilization, the primitive civilization as primitive man, we have used instead the word contamination. Are there not different terms for the same thing? Because if our attitude towards the influence of civilization upon primitives has usually been disapproving, as Adam mentions in the civilization, barbarian and savages, the social and political nexus of diffusion, he mentions that. So if our attitudes is disapproving, then it has been at least also the realistic also. Because can it be possible that civilization without the hierarchy? Bowden mentions in the article civilization and hierarchy go hand in hand, that the standards of civilization are an explicit tool of hierarchy. separating those admitted to the International Society of the States from those deemed unworthy and denial entry, at least until they can measure up. As the term standard suggests in many contexts, standard of civilization are largely about widely accepted norms and expectation, or the norm, in this case, what is required in terms of perception about civilized behavior. Uh, Before that, the word barbarian in Sanskrit, if we try to look in Indian context, from in early Indian context, then there is a Sanskrit word for barbarian. As Romila Thapar mentions in her article, the image of barbarian in early India, that they are referred as Malecha, and they represents a cultural event rather than a linguistic fact. And as a term of exclusion, also carried within it the possibility of assimilation. In this case, the process by which the norms of subculture find their way in varying level. But as we know that this is not only the immediate, because it is important to recognize that just as the various hierarchical rankings were generally accepted by their respective occupants within the civilized societies, a civilization itself created a difference between societies, between the society, and it was generally accepted by the various people involved, as it is not only the immediate neighbors only who got affected, but more remote and primitive people were also affected by the ramifying power structure created by the civilization. And thus, in Indian context, here, who are the real barbarians on the name of civilization? If we try to look at from the with the help of novel Kurukshetra by Manubhai Pancholi, Darsak, then here there is a main plot is that it inquires into the human nature, human relationships, man's links with universe and God, and individual's place within the defined society and with indefinable self. So here is a deep seething anger terminating into a profound prolific pathos. Instead, and within the revulsion of the senseless atrocity and the repeatedly benumbed with the sadness for the life destroyed, it is not easy to read this text without breaking down the repeatedly. And thus, there is a main incident of Khandavan, and the incident is the Khandavan, where the story of Takshak and Takti is at the center, and there is subplot of war between the Kauravas and Pandavas. So there is, as we know that this story is taken from Mahabharat's Adi Parva, and Manubhai Pancholi has revisited these and narrated as the Khandavan is set afire by Arjun and Krishna as coveted by Agni. As Jhaveri mentions in her article Mahabharata and Environment, that there is a friendship between Takshak Nag or snake trap could well be an earlier historical pact of a peaceful coexistence and cooperation between the force of urbanization and the power of primitives. Because before we analyze civilization, before we critics the civilization, there is, as Rousseau eloquently put it, that who is actually civilized and to whom we should consider civilized. There is a first man, the first man who, having enclosed a piece of ground, to whom it occurred to say this is mine, and found people sufficiently simple to believe him, was the true founder of civil society. How many crimes, wars, murders, how many miseries and horrors would humankind have been spared by him who, pulling up the stacks or filling in the ditch, had cried out to his kind, "Be aware of listening to this impostor. You are lost if you forget that the fruits are everyone's and the earth is no one's." So here is unconcealed irony will accompany in addressing Arjun as In Adi Parva, Vyas addresses Arjun as a pious, without sin, and Krishna as a Veer, Mahatma, brave and noble soul. So, because here the relation between and the incidents which covers in the novel about Malicha and Arya means between barbarians and civilization, barbarian and civilized. So there is Dhumya Rishi talks about talks on assimilation. But when the incident comes, when actually comes to perform, it goes into the veil, and there is a Khandav Dahan as for to establish Indraprasth or Khandavprasth. Pandavas takes their land itself. Then the question is where they would go. But yet, Vyas Muni portrays that in their favor only. There is also the question that Dhaumya Muni teaches education to Arya children also, and even to the children of snake tribes, mean to the tribes of snakes. Yet, of course, they are appearing that they are appearing as there is no any differences, as they are teaching to the teaching. Dhaumya Rishi is Rajguru also. So he teaches to everybody. It seems there is equality. They are giving equal rights. Yet, when incident comes to Takshak and Tapti, Dhaumya Rishi is not goes into their favor, or at the same time, even Tapti's father and mother also not favors them. Tapti is Raj Purohit, daughter of Dhaumya Rishi. He is the Raj Purohit of Pandavas, and Takshak is what we say Bhanej of Vasuki and the future king of the Nag community, and the son of Chitrarath and Chintamani. So here, as Aryan consider themselves as superior and consider Nagas as inferior. So when Takshak and Tapti falls in love, Tapti's mother is not also happy with that decision. And when Tapti argued with her mother that તમે પણ કાશીરાજ પુત્રી થઈને એક બ્રાહ્મણ સાથે લગ્ન કરેલા, and her mother replies, હું કોઈ હીન કુળમાં નહોતી ગઈ, અને આ શબ્દોએ તપ્તીના માથા પર હથોડો માર્યો. So they are told that each and every person of ashram knows that who are learning that the thought of hinta itself has relation with the karma only. It has no any kind of lena dena with varna, dharma, sthan, vidya. But they are considered, but it has as Naga, people of Nagas or say snake tribes are considered as barbarian even till that day. And so it will creating the problem even if their themselves lands is stolen out of them. Interesting to note that Dhaumya Muni also goes in favor to snake tribes, but where we'll see in the next slide. And the question through Dhaumya Rishi also, Takshak asks to question to the Dhaumya Rishi that why you are not teaching archery to us. If you have teaches us archery to us, then we would have fought for our land by ourselves. And Dhaumya Rishi also tells that what will you do by learning the archery. So their ultimate fight of justice proved Naga snakes as a barbaric. So we have to think that who is real barbarian and who is and on the name of who is doing what on the name of civilization itself. So what may be justifiable is not necessarily inevitable. So Arjun, which is portrayed as Anag, pious, without sin, kills many innocent people on Khandavan by taking their land in the fire, is also got favor of Vyas Muni, which should not got. If you look at the character of Krishna, which plays very central role, but of course not in this discourse which we are looking right now, and there is a Dhaumya Rishi who talks more ideally to Yudhishthir about human rights of Nagas, and there is a character of Yudhishthir also who talks much on the side of dharma, but goes on the throne of Khandavan after killing so many lives. So here the Mora mentions in the Mahabharata a portrait of humanity, that the juxtaposition is an opportunity to set a stage where unruly, impulsive and obdurate violation of Khanda 1 and mask of civilization can be counterposed by a carefully crafted catastrophe. So there, as Andrew Trushke also mentioned this, since we slaughtered our own, what good can possibly come from ruling? Damn the ways of kings. Damn might makes right. Damn the turmoil that brought us to in this disaster. So in barbarism, people largely lived in towns, each such town being an independent. In that civilization, Khandavprast, in the Khandavprast or say Indraprast, emerged and results into unknown barbarism of Nagas, the terror of barbarism. So this narrative is centered on the embracing of idea and existing the freedom of existence to everyone. Kurukshetra with the burden of plenty of our culture, with the burden of poverty, which have survived even till the today. So the cradle of civilization is itself the cradle of war, as Bowden mentions in the civilization in its consequences. So, and another passing reference with the novel Vishwamano by Jitesh Donga. It is also Gujarati novel, and there is a character of Rumi. Characteristics of this character proves him barbaric, but actually he is not the barbarian. The people, the society who is moving around him is itself a barbaric, as he was eating from the trash, drunk and cow dung. He was screaming and running behind the people. He was living with the dog and animal. And civilized people were throwing stones and so many things in front of him. And there is an incident of molestation behind the temple also. So there is not any there is no any characteristic which can define civilization or barbarism. So there is about the wall where which are gathered the subjugated tribes, they often being divided into clans and the retains of the slaves. Thus become something more than a homogeneous body of a kindred and a body of polity composed of many bodies of tribes. The ruling body still had a tribal organization, yet such a tribal organization was weak and often broke down, so that subject bodies were hearts of a people in a part of a wholly disorganized and to a large extent. So this is following this, we can say that we need to rebuild the meaning of civilization, because as Emily Benveniste also stated, was no longer sufficient, requiring the coining of a term that had to be called civilization in order to define together both its direction and continuity. Moving ahead, civilization is a powerful stimulus to a theory, and despite its ambiguities, there is an overwhelming temptation to clarify our thinking by elaborating a theory of civilization capable of grounding a far-reaching philosophy of history. As Chebi Bai also asserted that the idea of this progress means that civilization is moving and will move in a desirable direction. So the purpose of this exposition are completed when the change of barbaric institution into civilization institution is explained and later properly characterized. So thank you, friends. Thank you very much. Here are my references. Citation, work cited.
Okay, in the last slide, you can stop presenting now. Okay? The yes, last slide before citation.
Yes.
You can stop presenting.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You mentioned to this references. That is Emily Benveniste and J.B. Bury. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Sir, they are from they are quoted in this they are quoted in the in one of the article in which I referred.
So when you write in text, then you have to mention they are cited in this.
Okay. Yes.
And yet this also can be like the point that is missing is in text citations are missing. In text citations.
Okay.
This can be put, so it will go with Benveniste. When you are referring to that alphabetically, there should be something with Benveniste and Bury
Yeah.
also.
Okay.
Then you can say as quoted in or as cited by so and so. But whatever you refer, or you have to write in text that as cited by so and so in that work, so people can go to see that work.
Okay.
That way citation will become more clear. Otherwise it was good. Well done. You have also used the citations also in your discussion. That is very good, which is what we are telling, that when you cite, then you say that so and so person is telling this, that should be referred. So that was, but whenever any of these names are referred, the reviewer will try to cross verify, and they will say that, well, Bury to see where is Bury in B, and if they will not find it, they will see is there any marker as a footnote or in the parenthesis, then it is not there. So now as a reviewer you don't know that from where have you taken this. Are you getting the point, that why all these things are necessary? So reviewer of articles in journals or in thesis, they want to cross verify to see that what you are citing is, now if you don't show them the path, then how can they reach there? This is showing the path, that from where I have taken, where it is internet, then you give a link there, so easily they can go. If it is book, then you mention all the details about the books also. So the basic purpose of citations is to give the path to the people, that when they have a question, when they are reviewing your work, they must be able to reach to the destination to cross check that you have understood also. Otherwise you may be citing, but you may be misunderstanding the original source, and then there might be a problem. Otherwise it was good. It was a very good idea also of yesterday. Also it was good comparison with Gujarati text, and today also it was very well analyzed. So this also you referred to Audrey Trusca's way of looking at ancient Indian literature or ancient Sanskrit literature. That she has a different way of looking, which is irreverential way of looking at a literary text, which causes some problem with those who want to see the literature with some kind of reverences. But that can be a very interesting idea if you want to carry on for a PhD topic also. Picking up, selecting a Gujarati text, a few texts from the Western world or in English, which is coming from a colonized nation, and then you can compare with the framework of how Audrey Truscay and similar kind of writers are trying to look at civilizations, cultures, and its portrayal in literary text also. And both the presentations also you can develop as a paper also, for it will be a good